Governor Siminalayi Fubara is on a roller coaster. Has been on one since he assumed office as governor of Rivers State. And you can hear it in his words. From the infamous, no amount is too big to pay for peace, to there is no political crisis in Rivers State. And now, some people don't exist. Yes, we are here again talking about Rivers State and the politics threatening governance there. Will Governor Fubara effectively weather this storm? Is this the hand of Esau and the voice of Jacob? Is Minister Wike somehow tied to all these issues the governor is facing? And if he is, as many people believe, what's the end game? Will the governor and his state assembly and local authorities find common ground? And if they don't, who do you think will win this fight? Those who don't exist or those who do? The last time I had today's guest on this program, a truce was reached and signed by all parties involved in this matter, including Minister Wike and Governor Fubara. Can the truce survive this storm in Rivers State? Hello and welcome to Political Paradigm right here on Channels Television. I'm Kayla Megwa. My guest on the program is Chief Peter Ame. Born on the 10th of December 1976, Mr. Peter Ame Ojonugwa hails from Olamaboro local government area of Kogi State. He has a bachelor's degree in economics from the University of Abuja, used to be the former national chairman of the Progressive People's Alliance, and rose to be former presidential candidate of the party in 2019. He's also the former chair of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC. Welcome again to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Just so we can remember, the last time you were here was when that 8-point agreement was reached. And I remember you being against, well, not being against, but raising issues with that 8-point agreement. And it was the issues you had raised were constitutional. Could you run us through that again?
First of all, apart from being on your show, I did a very big press conference when this whole issue started. And I was very firm on the fact that, for us to be able to, deepen democracy in Nigeria, people must come into office through a well-defined process of election conducted on the basis of free, fair, and credible processes. And then we came up with this political consideration that the president, came up with a 8-point resolution that both parties, should follow, to be able to now keep the state in peaceful state. So, but I was against it. I was against it because it runs foul of Section 109, Section 1G of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Because as at the time that discussion was being held in the presidential villa, those House of Assembly members had defected to the APC. And automatically they cease to be members of the State House of Assembly.
They lose their seat.
They lose their seat. And these have been tested up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court remain firm on this decision that when you defect as a lawmaker, you automatically lose your seat. So that at the time that consideration was being carried out, political consideration to over the supremacy of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I was very worried. And I was also very angry with the governor at the time why he should, take that route. But I know Nigeria. Nigeria is a very funny place. And there was a Supreme Court judgment that was, the date was shifted. They were shifting the date on the weekly basis. The date was tomorrow they will shift it. So the man was under tension.
A Supreme Court judgment that would have affected the governor.
That would have affected the governor. You see, when we are running democracy, when we run democracy based on the authority of those in power, based on their influence over the constitutional, how they call it, institutions that we have in Nigeria. If we run democracy based on that, then people who come into power will not serve the interest of the people. They want to serve the interest of their masters. So whatever agreement that was reached in the presidential villa was just a president, trying to weigh into a process. Probably, like I said on your show that time, I said the president Rivers is very important to the president. So the president is doing everything to also favor those who are supporting him in Rivers, so that they will also have a stay and have opportunity to be able to hold on to whatever position or authority or sphere of influence they have in Rivers State towards the 2027 election. People are no longer talking about governance. People are talking about who is going to win 2027 election. And so they're putting all structure in place. And the people in Rivers State, people who are paying for this misadministration and missed opportunity that people are supposed to take to develop the country are the masses of those states. So I was against that because I knew the president wasn't doing it as a charitable something to help the Rivers people. He was doing it to be able to, invest the energy of his party in the state. If the current lawmakers can't be sitting down, and then you belong to APC, you are elected under the platform of the PDP, and then you are saying that you are in charge of the State House of Assembly. That's not done. Whatever the law, the only thing that the governor should know, that the public will start to see him as somebody who is not consistent, who cannot hold on to his, his words or stand his ground, whatever position. Yes, I agree you were afraid of whatever will come out of the Supreme Court judgment. But after that, you have made several statements saying there are no crises in the state, when you knew very well that there were crises. And today now you are coming out to try to want to be able to stay and establish your independence as if somebody who supposedly should have been elected by the people. But you are finding it difficult because people are now feeling, oh, are we going to go with him again, struggle with him again, and it goes back to them? Or is he going to stand his ground for the sake of the River State people? So it's about constitutionality here. It's not about Sim, neither is it about Wiki. Both of them could be throwing their authorities around, but the supremacy of the Constitution is supreme at all times, and the independence of our Constitution, not to be manipulated by those who have been given power to superintend over the affairs of our people, must be established.
Let's go to that agreement, the 8-point agreement. Just so we can run through them again, because I think Nigerians tend to forget very quickly.
No, Nigeria don't. They have their attention span.
Yes, they move on. I don't. Let's go back so that we can assess them and see which of them, which of them runs foul of our laws. Number 1, all matters instituted in the courts by Fubara and his team are to be withdrawn immediately. All impeachment proceedings initiated against the governor by the Rivers State House of Assembly must be dropped immediately. The leadership of Martin Amewule must be recognized in the Rivers State House of Assembly and not that of Edison Ehie.
That run fouls against our law. Because look at what Edison Ehie did. We need to look at the smartness of what the game they're playing at the time. What Edison Ehie, what he did was that when he was leaving that position, he resigned as the Speaker, Rivers State House of Assembly, and resigned as a member representing his state constituency. You understand? So he resigned at both levels and then submitted his letter of resignation as a member of the State House of Assembly to INEC, following the constitutional procedure. He has closed the gap for anybody to come and say, I was elected Speaker. He closed that because it's about constitution. The man didn't just say, look, I'm leaving, I'm resigning from State House of Assembly and going. He wrote to INEC that as Speaker of the River State House of Assembly, I am resigning my position. And today also, along with this letter is a resignation of my authority, of my mandate that was freely given to me by my people, as also as a member of the State House of Assembly. So when you come again, and that is also asking that INEC, based on the constitutional arrangement, to conduct a fresh election to replace that, reestablish whoever we want to contest for that position should come along and election be conducted for the person. That means first primary will be conducted along party lines, and then elections will be carried out. And also those vacancies election will also be conducted for those vacancies. So that was what he was trying to do. And that is on record. Because whatever political consideration, whatever political discussion you have in your room or in the presidential villa, do not amount to law.
The fact that there are people who are, there's a parallel state assembly, so to speak, where pro-Fubara lawmakers,
pro-Wiki lawmakers.
Well, there's the pro-Wiki bit, and then there's the pro-Fubara. I saw them today. I think it was even in the news today. Is that illegal in itself?
The law knows who to recognize because it's illegal in the sense to the extent that the fact that Edison here, who was the landlord speaker of the State House of Assembly, resigned, and both as speaker and all that. And I've not seen anywhere where a new how they call it, sitting was put together and a new speaker elected. What they did was to jump the constitution and then align themselves with this resolution, which is not known to law. They align themselves to the resolution of the president, who was, because many times people talk about, oh, why will you sign it? There are many things happen in Nigeria until we rescue Nigeria from the hands of those who are using state authority to control our institution, until we rescue Nigeria by conducting a free, fair, and credible election across all structure of our electoral processes. If we don't do that, let me tell you something. People who come into office, they will have so much power, they have so much authority, and they will determine the outcome of whatever happens. We are talking, and people know that the presidency influence on the judiciary in our country, the state governor's influence on the judiciary in the state is overwhelming.
So what should be the fate actually of Mr. Martin Amaewhule, based on what you're saying?
His fate is to get ready and go and put himself up for a new election.
So this particular place that says he should be recognized as, you know, his leadership of the River State Assembly should be recognized. You're saying that can't be recognized?
No, with this document, will he override Section 109, subsection 1G? The decision by this document, as mediated by the president, was overtaken by event before that meeting, based on the fact that they defected to APC before that meeting was conveyed, and because of that, it is now the only thing that is left for Martins to do is for him to go and put himself up for the next election when I come to conduct the State House of Assembly.
I don't want to believe that the president didn't know all of this.
No, the president have advisor, but like I tell you, people can't differentiate the supremacy of the Constitution to the supremacy of the office of the president. People mix them. Sometimes they feel the president should, is in charge of the Constitution, whereas the Constitution, is supreme on its own and work, in a way that protect the interest of all Nigerians, including the interest of the president. But when that process is abused, based on the fact, the kind of authority the office carries, people tend to come to that office and say, they bow before the office instead of bow before the Constitution. So what was done was that, you could see the people insinuation on the street at the time that, oh, he's signing because, there's a Supreme Court judgment that is still to come, for his case after the tribunal had ruled in his favor, the Court of Appeal had ruled in his favor. Because Nigeria is a place that, anything goes. And because of the people outside who are supposed to be the watchdog, and then put government on check, to ask them to do the right thing, easily have what they call, very short attention lifespan. When issue happen today, you can hear the opera, oh, tomorrow people have forgotten. So this document is not known to law. Is known to both parties who are trying to be considerate.
So, but let's try and run through all of them, though. The remunerations and benefits of the River State House of Assembly members and staff will be reinstated immediately. Governor Fubara-led executive will henceforth no longer interfere with the funding of the assembly. Also agreed to, lawmakers will from now on choose where to have their sittings without interference or hindrance from the executive. Governor Fubara agreed to present again the over 80 billion naira 2024 budget to the State Assembly with the defected members in attendance. Has that happened?
No, it hasn't happened. He has not presented the budget. He said the budget is already law. They cannot accept it. He can't represent it.
Okay, resending the names of the commissioners who resigned to the State House of Assembly for reappointment.
He did that.
He did this.
He did that.
The dissolution of local government administration has been declared null and void. I think this is coming up again because we're seeing the local authorities also not getting along with the governor.
Yes, they are not. The local government chairmen are not getting along with the governor. See, all this, we can't discuss all these issues today, but I don't believe that state governors should control local government, and I don't believe they should also, be in charge of the funding for State Assembly. But this is the status that what we have on ground today. And if what we have on ground today and money is not being released to them, is because probably the governor feels he doesn't recognize them since they are defected and their seat has become vacant because of in relation to Section 109, Section 1G. So that's why there's no need to actually give money to people whose seat has become vacant. And in that process, that vacuum existed, and which is not nice. Now we are not here. We would not know that Jumbo has been elected the speaker. And out of because you take majority from the available. You understand? That's how you get your quorum. You check it from the available. And if there are 4 House of Assembly members who have not defected, they are the majority of them will not decide for who becomes their speaker. Because we can't continue to work and try to make sure that our children and those who watch us, continue to see bad lessons from us. That there's a law that prohibits you from defecting from a party that you presented yourself for election, that where people come to vote for you, people voted based on the manifesto of that party, based on the constitution of that party, based on the programs of that party. Then you come up and then you move to another party. And the constitution says, no, when you move, you must vacate your seat so that you can put yourself up for election. If they are so popular as they have claimed, if they are so strong as they have claimed, if I were in their position, I would say, okay, INEC conduct a new election. Let's show him that we're in authority. Let's show him that we have the capacity to win and win again. But they know the power of governors in the state, how they were brought into power. So that's why they can't even talk about going for election. They say they run the River State. They are more in numbers in the House of Assembly. Why not go for a new election? So that you can put the governor to shame. And then make sure you prove to the Nigerian people that you are more popular than the governor.
Did the governor, in your view, insult the president by saying that these lawmakers didn't exist?
It's not insult. The president have done worse than that, than the governor. When Olusegun Obasanjo was withholding the local government money for Lagos State, then the president went to court as sitting governor, fought for the right of his state, and decided to assert his authority. So the democracy is not about insult. It's not about seniority, junior or adult. It's about, are you doing this thing in line with the Constitution? When
he said these men do not exist, did it make you feel uncomfortable in any way?
I think that the men exist as human beings. What is saying that the State Assembly has presently claimed to be in control of the State Assembly does not exist. Because I wouldn't believe that,
Because the APC in the state, they are capitalizing on that to say, oh, we're not going to sit back and watch you insult the president.
No, it's not an insult. It's not an insult. They are not good students of political history. If they are good students of political history, they know that the president as somebody from the opposition party, I don't want a sitting president. Has stood his ground to prove that whatever the sitting president was doing was not right. So we learn from them. You can't be learning from the people who have not defended the Constitution. If he had defended the Constitution, he should allow others to defend the Constitution. As governor, he stood his ground and said he does not want interference of the federal government in the state. He tried to make some, how they call it, some innovation that could have, helped in trying to deepen our democratic space by saying, no, I can create more local government. Local government is supposed to be under the state government, which we do not agree. I do not agree to. But what can I do? He went to court and he won. And the local government money that comes to him is shared across the status of his local administrative this thing that he created. So the president have done a lot in those directions of trying to prove a proof point that when you are you are in charge of an organization, if you are elected by your people to represent them, you must stand and defend that mandate that has been given to you. And that mandate is what has been given to Sim Fubara. And I think that if he doesn't stand and defend it, the consequences will be very there because people will be disappointed in him. You could say that you bought form for people. People do people all sort of favor. People have done me a lot of favor. But it doesn't mean that you now decide to take away my independence, my authority to think. It's a God-given will that a man should be able to think for himself and then think for his people and then collaborate with other interests to move the state forward. The state, in this case, is not just you run finances. You have to know how you prioritize issues that will affect positively the life of people you are governing. You can't continue to, if people who are in the opposition mean well for the state, they can't continue to be doing fight. Are they fighting over the resources of the state? Are they fighting because they lost power? So these are the issues where the general public and activists within this cycle are trying to examine and try to arrive at. So because the state is not the property of anybody. The state is not even the same today. It's just there for temporary period. It could stay 4 years. It could stay 8 years. So the state is not his property. If he start to act as if the state is his property, he will make mistake. What he should do is to start to deliver the dividend of democracy to the people. When you talk about pipe-borne water, which nobody talk about in Nigeria anymore, it's not borehole. You talk about, now there's the 2023 Electricity Tariff Act that you cannot provide electricity for your people. And then you make the life of your people, you make it better. That's what governance is about. And that's why the Constitution was very simple. In its clear terms, it said to protect the life and property. When you protect the life and property by providing an enabling environment for this to thrive, then the country, the state will blossom. So we have an issue here that the president bringing this political consideration on the table and people sign does not amount to law.
At the time, you were also upset that the PDP was not handling their business. But the PDP, the spokesperson of the PDP spoke recently about it, basically speaking up against the APC person in the States who said they should start to initiate impeachment proceedings against Governor Fubara. Say, no, that's very irresponsible. It's never going to happen. Is it too little, too late? Should they have waited in earlier?
They're still not doing much as far as because politics is not about piecemeal. It's not just say something you say just to fulfill all righteousness or try to show some that you have been able to meet some mark. It's a very huge responsibility to be in the opposition. Because the more we lose state, whether I'm PDP or not, it doesn't matter, because the opposition must be strong. The opposition must be seen to be growing. Because the more you deplete the numbers of the opposition, the more you empower those in government to continue to rule over us without proper election. So for us, I feel that the PDP as a party that is having this issue is not doing enough. If they are not, if their voice just come, with just come out like that, and most people will not hear it, and they go back to their cocoons.
Especially in this matter in River State. Why do you think this is the case?
See, Wike has invested a lot in the party. To a lot of people he has done favors. To a lot of people he has, so people are not willing to take side. And you are not elected as party ESCO to take side. You are elected as party ESCO to take decision based on the constitution of your party. And you can't see when the G5 governors came out and say they are going to do everything to make Tinubu to win in 2027, and yet the party, there's no sanction. So when it shows as if there are some people that are more supreme and more senior to the constitution of the party, that is the grand norm of the party, and the constitution of Nigeria, that is generally the grand norm. Because from section 39 to 40 and 41, when you talk about freedom of expression, freedom of movement, and freedom to belong to a political party and association in the federal republic, he said a political party. He never said you should belong to one or two political parties. We know of coalition. We know of alliances. But the party will be the one to go to coalition. The party will be the one to enter into these alliances. It is not in individual base. It is not that I'm a member of a Malay party that I will now go and enter into an alliance on behalf of the party. So the party will enter into, and not that the party is supreme because people are executive in the party. If the party is supreme because the constitution of the party is supreme to everybody that is in the party. So the mistakes that people are making is that they think they can slow a process down. They can play politics with the APC. They can do whatever the decision that they are taking today, and then come back at the tail end and then try to resuscitate their party to take power. It will be too late. The President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that is the president today, he never for once discussed with the government in power. In 2007, I remember after the general election, ANPP, PP, and other parties went into alliance. At that time, PP had 2 governors. I think PP had 7 governors, 6 governors. Bola Ahmed Tinubu had only 1 governor in Lagos. Today, there's no more ANPP. Today, there's no more, because the leaders did not see beyond. And he has been seeing far. So he has stood his ground and said, look, I will remain in the opposition. I'll be the opposition until he got almost to call the whole Southwest state. So it is in that knowledge of how to work and be independent and be and have the ability to sacrifice, whatever greed that is pushing people to try to abandon their party today, that is why he succeeded. So we must, in every way we do, or whatever we do, to make sure that the constitution of the party remains supreme and work for the interest of the party. And if you are tired and feel that you can't stay in opposition, it's very difficult. You don't get jobs, you don't get anything, you are just there surviving. If you are doing your business, you survive. So if it's difficult for you to run opposition, it's not difficult. You go and then follow the constitution again and then announce that you have changed party and go to where you can, freely speak for the party instead of doing nocturnal meetings and running around in the night and, working against the interests of the party. So these are the challenges of the PDP. It's obvious. And the challenges of the little party in Nigeria. But if we, going forward, those leaders who have found themselves in this party must be able to speak up for the interest of the Nigerian people, because opposition is cardinal to the survival of democracy. Because they act like watchdog, against those who have been elected, and then speak truth to power to make sure that whatever that is going on, people realize that there are people who are watching. Because if you leave the masses alone, they might not have the voice to speak for themselves. And yes, but the masses also must know that if you go to every developed democracies today, it is the people who are always asking questions. You can't go to America today and stay 1 week without finding protests in front of Capitol Hill. So these are constitutional authority that we have as citizens. And we must exercise it in the way that those in government will know that you cannot get into government, misappropriate our resources, mismanage our resources, and speak to us anyhow, and run government by propaganda in the sense why the people suffer. And then run government by policy that are not well structured, policies that are not well planned, and policies that are, weak in the process of implementation.
I want you to talk a bit about, I want to be able to say, what would you do if you were the leader of the People's Democratic Party right now? if you were Atiku Abubakar right now, someone who's respected in the party, what should they be doing right now? Maybe I should get there, yes. Yeah. What should they be doing right now as leadership of the opposition? Because I've heard you say so many times that we do not have a viable opposition in Nigeria. What should they be doing differently right now?
I'm among those who have criticized Atiku Abubakar, severally, because, because we formed a coalition. We worked with him directly, 2019, Obi, I was working with him because of Obi, ticket in 2019. And that after that, he left the country. And there was no opposition. We kept on struggling. Some of us went to police stations severally because of that. And then in 2023, I was also worried again that nothing is going on. But recently, at least you can see opposition leaders should know that their contribution to issues that affect our people matters. Because immediately Atiku Abubakar brought out the issue of Calabar Coastal Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway. You can see the kind of heat it generated, the kind of light that has been brought upon it, the secrecy at which the government were planning to implement that project, it was no longer possible. So,
yes, but he took a beating for it, didn't he? Because what the federal government did was remind him of the telecoms situation.
We must clean our history, but we can't continue to repeat the mistake of another person and say, because you did it, I'll do this. We have children.
So that's my point. Sometimes people, because of their checkered past, they don't speak up because they know that people would remind you of what you did as well.
If they have repented, and they say, look, and Nigerians discover that truly you are repentant, and you speak up, and because you are speaking on behalf of Nigerians, and they come to arrest you. I assure you Nigerians will stand behind the people. The issue that exists between political leaders and Nigerians is the issue of mistrust, political distrust, that people don't believe that they're actually genuinely defending their interests. So if you are genuinely defending the interests of Nigeria and you come to be arrested, you find out that you have massive support from the people, that they will be able to defend your interests. So whatever the opposition must do now, the leaders must be united. They must learn from what the APC did. They must learn from the harmonization of political party that the APC did. Because you can't be holding on to a political party without political power. The political party, yes, it's good to educate people, it's good to go about to advocate for free and fair election, it's good to do this, because I've been in this game for a long time and I've learned some lessons. I've seen my mistakes too, and I've learned from them. And you can't continue to advocate for a system that works if you are not in power. So if you get into power and you have an idea and your ideas are very strong, to be able to push Nigeria to the right direction, then we must let go of our egos, we must let go of our pride, and then come together on one table and agree what to be done, as regards, the multi-party democratic, system that will run in Nigeria.
What political party do you belong to right now?
I belong to the Labour Party.
Okay. Yes. Are you running, are you planning towards running for office anytime soon?
If the opportunity comes, the people must always be the one that we want to represent. We can't force ourselves on them like the people in power have been doing.
I want to be able to talk a little bit about you and the Labour Party before we get back into this conversation here. What's happening with the Labour Party and the NLC? Where are we on that situation?
The issue is that there have been a lot of issue. The NLC felt that there was a Kolawole judgment of 2018, and then later we saw a document flying around that judgment has been endorsed by the chairman and the secretary of the party. They've signed in to that agreement that they are going to honor the agreement. And why NFC is angry is that you have agreed to honor an agreement with us. You have signed a document, because this document don't lie. When there's a judgment, when there's a binding judgment by Justice Gabriel Kolawole that you have agreed to. If you agree that that judgment exists, you should honor it. We can't be teaching people how to do what to tell lies and then revert and then say something else. You should honor the judgment. If you are agreed to it and you have signed a document to that effect, and what the NLC is fighting for, it's not about whether they formed the Labour Party. They have formed it. Everybody knows it's on record. The INEC have said it. Everybody's saying it. But what they are fighting for is for possession. To take possession of the party. I don't think that if we don't sit down one round table, all of us collectively, and then decide on how to go forward, because Labour Party is very important. Labour Party is not just a party that is driven by oligarchs or those who are in power or those who have governed a lot of money. It's driven by just the ordinary people on the street. So they are heartbroken that we can't put our house in order. They're heartbroken. But I believe with what the the leader of the party is doing and the underground work that both all the leaders, the governors, the senators, and the House of Rep are doing, I believe at the end of the day, we'll come out with a very, reasonable solution that will save the party from whatever, quagmire situation they found themselves. Because
the last time we saw that the NLC was going and locking up Labour Party offices, and, we saw Mr. Julius Abure, of course, in dire straits at the time. But I just wanted to be able to get an update from you. Just so we know, National Chairman of the party is still Mr. Julius Abure.
But yeah, till 10th of June.
Till the 10th of June.
Yes.
Then what happens then?
I don't regulate political party. The only organization that regulates political party is the Independent National Electoral Commission. So they determine what next. And they have come out to say that they were not going to attend the convention, and they didn't attend, despite having 21 days notice, because it's beyond that. Notice for convention is beyond that. You need to meet up you need to submit the members of the planning committee of your national planning committee for the convention. You need to submit the names of delegate. Are your delegate, the ad hoc delegate you are going to use, were they elected? Because you don't use adult delegates for a convention. They have to go through an elective, Congress, for them to participate.
The 10th of June is supposed to be the Congress of the party?
No, it's not supposed. The party is going to determine that. And those who are there now with the stakeholders will determine when the convention
What's happening on the 10th of June? Is that when his tenure in office
expires? He was elected as National Secretary 10th June 2019.
Okay.
By April, the tenure was supposed to expire 9th. Because the night before the election, that's where the tenure is supposed to expire. The tenure is supposed to be the 9th of June, 2023. But prior before that, the tenure was extended for 1 year. So if you extended for 1 year, that means you have 9th June, 2024 for the end of that particular tenure.
We'll be seeing what happens on the 10th of June then.
Politics is a continuous engagement.
It's a continuous engagement. All right, so let's go back to Rivers State. The local government chairman were accusing Fubara of withholding allocations. We talked about that earlier. That's the Rivers State chapter of Algon, condemning him for withholding funds meant for local governments. You touched on it earlier when you said he may be withholding those funds because he doesn't recognize them.
That's the truth.
Is that what the situation is? And is that constitutional?
If the law does not recognize them, so why should you recognize them? Those are just the issue.
That's for the local government authorities.
The local government authority.
Yes.
But I don't think you should be holding on to their
not for
fund.
State, not
no,
for
the local government.
We're talking about Algon here.
I think you should immediately convey the joint local government and they call it the joint local government and state finance meeting. So that they can look at whatever money that have accrue to the local government and then release it as I went due. Because from what I heard from his own statement on national TV, their tenure will expire in July or something, July 17 or 7th. If their tenure still subsists, there's no need to allow our people in the local government to suffer, while trying to play political, power. It's very important that you must put into consideration the health of the people who reside within this local government, and then make sure that those money that are meant for the upkeep of the local government, for the development of the local government, for the proper running of the local government is released to the local government. It's a constitutional matter.
So let's talk a bit about one of the biggest issues, the biggest elephant in the room, Minister Wike.
Okay.
Mr. Nyesom Wike. A lot of people believe that he's behind all of this. It is him. This is the voice of Jacob and the hand of Esau. Is this the case? Do you think so? Do you think Mr. Wike? Because from time to time he does, he does that thing where he says, "Oh, I have nothing to do with that. It's not my business. I don't know what is going on there." But many people do believe that Minister Wike's hand is in this situation. Do you think so? And if it is, in your view, what's the end game? What does he hope to achieve if, people say he's fueling this crisis? What would he achieve in the end?
From his several press conferences, he has said it, that he bought funds for all of them. He put them in office and he expected them to do, as directed. And it's like some of them are growing wings. So from that's what I can deduce from the interviews he has granted. And this is not good for our democracy. Let people not feel that our people are not responsible, in the process of election to elect those who will lead them, that the vote of our people don't count. If people start to feel like you now continue to express more voter apathy as you go along in our election. So everybody knows that somehow there's a punch being thrown through an agbada to get to this war that we're actually fighting. It's the two big masquerades that are fighting between the wicked and the sinful that are actually having this issue. It's a public knowledge. Even the common man on the street can tell you that this is power tussle. And it's not good for our people. If somebody is elected and you believe truly this is elected by the people, you allow them to work. You just move on with your life. What has Wike not done in this country? Except maybe he's not in the National Assembly. He was a minister 2 times, minister before, local government chairman, governor 2 times. Now also a minister of the Federal Capital Territory. You just move on. He has a lot of opportunities that he has been able to establish his ground. To interfere in the state and make the state ungovernable. We almost rob him of the legacy of which he claims he has created in the state. Because a lot of people who see you as somebody who also struggle to get into power during the Jonathan administration, to get into government, with your struggle with your friend and Rotimi Amechi, you should be able to know that when you get into office and you leave, you should allow those who have been elected to, run their own administration. If they need your opinion, they'll seek from you. And if they don't come, you take it as you can once in a while be releasing letter to them as Obasanjo usually does to those in government. You take from his footstep and then you write letter and then say, no, this is what you are not doing right. But to say that it must be your way, it must, we will teach them lesson. We will show that we own River State. With time, we have always won election. Even when they talk about Odili and co, they say, but he has always won election, even while they are there. So let the 27 people put themselves, the House of Assembly members loyal to the APC, put themselves forward for election, so that we will know who is in charge of the state. So that's just the common thing. That's what I see. I see that Wike feels hot, and that he has helped him to get into office. And today, he's trying to ditch directive, probably that is anti-people, that might not be in the interest of the people. That's what Sim is saying, and he's saying that for that reason, I won't do this. And then there's a problem. These two people can't put the life of people in the River State at jeopardy and then try to fight on the ego or the altar of their own ego. They should know that there's a constitutional process. If Sim gets to the next election, you decide not to support him and bring out your own candidate. And then people go and slug it out by campaigning and canvassing your opinion to the people. But to say that River State will remain ungovernable because of their interest is something that I totally detest, and every Nigerian should condemn it with strongest terms. So for what is going on in River State today, and for the State House of Assembly, I advise them, the Martins, to be able to wake up and then go also write to INEC to give a date for election. So
how do you see this impasse ending?
This impasse is not going to end until the next election. The struggle continues to be there, because even if they set up the impeachment procedure, they are still going to write to the chief judge of the state. And you know that how that goes. So I don't want to talk about that, but I know the political intrigues that they could just write an empty letter. But there are issues, constitutional issues, that are bordering on their authority to sit as member-elect of the State House of Assembly. So these are matters that will be...
Let's say the law, the Constitution, takes preeminence. It should.
Which normally should.
It should. Let's say the Constitution takes preeminence on this whole matter and some kind of resolution is reached based on our laws. What would happen to all of the players in this situation? What would happen to the governor, the State Assembly, local authorities, and Minister Wike?
But the governor will remain in office and then complete this 4 years and then face another election in 2027.
Well, the State Assembly,
the State Assembly, the four persons that have not defected from their party and have not breached the Section 109, subsection 1G, continue to manage the State Assembly until INEC decide to conduct a new election. Because a letter has been written by the then Speaker, who left, who is now the Chief of Staff, Ediside here, to state that I'm no longer Speaker, I'm leaving. Based on this reason,
what happens to those who are in the State Assembly right now, the ones who the governor says don't exist?
They will put themselves forward for another election. Okay. They will be able, and that means they have to go through the primaries of their new political party. Yes. There will be primaries
because they did defect, didn't they?
They did defect.
So they have to now run through the ranks, do primaries, be nominated, and then
names forwarded to INEC. you know, and then they go to contest election.
Okay.
And that when they will really prove that, man, we are in charge of the state and we are in charge of our authority.
Doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon.
But it should. It should happen.
It should happen.
That's what we're also telling INEC. INEC must, step his foot on it, because these institutions are supreme in they are under the Constitution, and the Constitution is supreme and dictates their modus of operations. So if you have a letter coming from somebody who was elected and there was a court judgment in favor of Edison here to be Speaker of the State House of Assembly, that court judgment has never been vacated. Edison did just assume to be Speaker. There was a court judgment that validated that position that he was holding. So that court judgment has not in date. Till date has not been vacated. Or there was an appeal that override that particular high court judgment. So there's nothing like that. So those documents he has presented as the outgoing Speaker to INEC are before the commission, and the commission will expedite actions on it, release document, and set date for the conduct of election.
Our time is fast spent, but I'm not going to let you go unless we talk about this. The concept of godfatherism in politics in Nigeria. It always happens like that. Whenever I'm waiting for Kogi, to be honest with you. Well, a lot of us were just watching to see what happened, because we saw it in Kano. We're seeing it in Rivers. We're seeing it everywhere, really, in the country. The next one we're all looking at is Kogi. Because when the conversation comes up and people are able to boldly say to the Nigerian people, I put this person in office. Or the person in office is able to say, this person puts me in office.
After 4 years.
You're basically looking at the Nigerian people and saying, your votes didn't count. I was installed here, and then they played that power play. In other parts of the world, I know, it would be an issue. You would have to explain that to the people, because you are not there by yourself. You are there to serve the people. In any case, with the concept of godfatherism and its prevalence in Nigeria, what can be done? Is there something that can be done about this situation?
Of course, when we strengthen the party system is weak, because the party system don't get money from the people. In developed democracies, it is the people that fund the party system.
Yes.
You understand? The people contribute money to the funding of the parties. They contribute money to the funding and election expenses of candidates. But in this place, those in government deep hand into the purse of government and then spend money, to develop their party. That's why they say the party is powerful. This party is in government is powerful. That the people are not powerful. That's why people are looking for parties that have governors to run for presidents. But the only person who have only tried this, this model of running outside, the established norm of that there must be governors in another place and has succeeded is Peter Obi. Because if you look at people, nobody is willing to go to any party that don't have governor and say he wants to run, because they are looking for funding. Because the people won't put money in this process. The people prefer to relax, enjoy, take some wine, and then relax their life, which is something they think they should do for themselves. But what is more important is that they put their money and invest in the political process and get people elected into office that will know that they got there by the vote of the people. And then even if you are trying to, amend constitutional provisions, electoral act, to make sure elections are free. If the parties are not free, if the political party, in the Second Republic, you can't call a NEC meeting or a convention where you find out that those elected are the one in charge of the process. It's the party leadership that is in process. So the more the party leadership becomes weak, the more the party leadership cannot take decisions on their own, the more the process of manipulating people to get them into power becomes more stronger. And those who are trying to impose people on people, or people forcefully in government, they are not learning their lesson. Look at Oji Zokalo and Theodore Oji. Look at him and on the other Abia, or Ikedo Hakim. Look at Ganduje. There are a lot of these stories. The only person that have done it and succeeded and then kept the model running is Tinubu in Lagos. It's the truth. It's him. Even when they said the time came and said Ambode will not continue.
I was going to say Ambode was a little chink in that.
He couldn't even withstand the structure that has been put in place. Because there's a strong structure in Lagos as regards to, you must follow the path, you must follow this leadership imposition process. So we can't get governance right if the people are not being elected. The worst one is the local government system. The governors are putting caretaker committees in all of the local government system. When there's a provision of the constitution that said there shall be a democratically elected local government chairman in the country. So our system is weak to a point that these persons see themselves as being more powerful than the authority that gave them power, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
What should Governor Fubara be doing right now? Because for many people, and they said it then, that those voices are coming up now. Oh, signing that document was your death knell, sir. You shouldn't have signed that. That was dangerous. You were you're running afoul of the law, and now you're put in a position where you are under the influence of someone who can take you in or out of office. Does he have a future based on where he is right now?
Of course.
He's doubling down. I can sense that listening to him. He's no more doing sober talking now. He's doubling down and saying, look, I am governor. Do you think he will make it through with this one? Or has he, as many people say, nailed his own coffin?
No, he will make it through. He will make it through very freely. Being a governor in Nigeria, to be a governor in Nigeria is a very powerful position. The apparatus of state in the state are totally apart from this issue that they are going through. Everything, he has a tight grip on them, and he will go through. He will get it through. But the issue is that it's the next election. And he has a lot of support right now.
So he might survive the first 4
years.
We don't know if he's going to...
The next election will be very serious. And we're talking to them to tell the members of the reps or their senator from their state to make sure that those in opposition in the National Assembly sit down when the electoral had comes on board for amendment, for the 2027 general election, to work tirelessly to amend the law that will make sure that BVAS and IRF are mandatory. It's made a mandatory, how they call it, system, whatever we will use, electronic gadget that we will use for the election become a mandatory issue. Not that the fact that you have a loophole and say that it's not mandatory to use BVAS and to accredit voters or use BVAS to capture the from EC8A and upload it to the IRF. So these are things that we must do to make sure that we have a strong, independent electoral processes for 2027 election. And it is the opposition that will do that, because those in government sitting, they have a way, to run around it. I
mean, if someone is going to install somebody as governor, you think the BVAS and all of these electronics are going to stop it?
No, it will work. There's no way. If you conduct the election, if
someone is determined, you will not enter that office.
No, it will work.
You think BVAS will stop me?
No, there's a structure. The system, our electoral process has really improved. I will tell you this for free. There was a time we did a lot of campaign, no card reader, no voting. The videos are there. Channels carried many, 2015, 2014, and 2011. We did all this intervention as advocacy, as our contribution to make sure that we have a free, fair, and credible election. And we see that, you could say, nobody's talking about ballot box stuffing. People are not talking about, ballot box snatching. These are not the issues. It is manipulation of figures now. And if you can get the BVAS to snap at the polling unit and then upload at the polling to the IRF, where it becomes, because it's not uploading, it's uploading a PDF file, which is almost impossible, signed by the party agents. It's almost impossible to now get the party agent and start changing them. It will give some level of credibility to our election. The fact is that in 2019 election, this process failed, and it contributed largely to the manipulation that we witnessed in the election.
Before we let you go, I want to be able to talk to you about the coalition of united political parties. How are you doing in the CUPP?
Yeah, we're doing well. The last time we did a tour of some of our parties, ADC, APP, Action Alliance. We did a tour of these parties.
How many parties are in this alliance?
We are 9, We did a tour.
Does it include the PDP?
Yeah, we formed it with the PDP.
Okay, what about the Labour Party? So the PDP and the Labour Party are members of the CUPP.
We formed it with the PDP.
Okay.
In fact, Olagusin Olunilola was the chairman. Senator Benobe was a member of the steering committee. Tom Ikimi. You have a lot of them. Even Ebuba Galadima was a member, was a member of the steering committee, So that's how we've been pushing it all through, to make sure that the opposition continue to have a voice.
So how do you have a voice? Because as much as we're looking at the People's Democratic Party should have spoken up, they should speak louder. The coalition that you have formed right now, I do see you speak up quite a bit. But do you speak as yourself or as the
I speak I'm not the only one who will speak. If you look at the front pages of newspaper last week, when we're talking about security issue. You see COP. I was not the one who released that press statement. It's Mark Adebayo. And then we have Kenga Ogechinye, who is our spokesman in before, and then our mouthpiece at the National Assembly. We are putting ourselves together, and we are asking every other person to come on board. Let's, do a proper and a more deepened, coalition. I really believe more in political party merger and political party alliances, in the sense that if we come together and we sit properly without selfish interest and discuss on how to, wrestle power from those in government, through the vote of the people, and then we will succeed. Because when the people determine the outcome of an election, sincerely, and the person who have been elected knows that he was elected by the people, and knowing fully well that his refusal to perform, we undermine whatever, we create the possibility for him not to be elected in the next election. You see that people start to work. Our political office holders are not working because basically they are waiting for the next election, and they're already planning how to, take money from government coffers, amass it, and then use it to put themselves back in power. So if we need to have a system that brings people into office without the godfathers determining the process with the resources of state. So your final word to the people of Rivers State, because while politics is going on, governance is suffering. Yeah.
So what do you have to say to them? Because I can imagine just watching this all unfold and wondering what is going on.
I think for the people of Rivers State, they've done well. I've seen a lot of them on national TV, from the activist woman was. I've seen a lot of them on TV, and they've been speaking in favor of the governor. I've seen where Udili himself spoke and said the governor is the current leader of the state. And that embodied, gave more, inject more energy into the body of the governor, because for coming from somebody of that status, who was even, a big supporter of Wike himself, it's very important to know that the people are speaking to establish that the Constitution is supreme, and whoever is in office at the time must be respected and given the necessary allowance and support for it to deliver the dividend of democracy to people of Rivers State, or whatever persons, whichever state you find yourself. Work for the people, do the biddings of the people, because the people are not the one that are supposed to be beholden to you. You were elected, you brought yourself out that you can do this work, you are put in office by the people, so you are beholden to the people. You are responsible to the welfare and the living, improving the living standard of the people. So that is a big responsibility that anybody in government should never take for granted.
That's all the time we have on Political Paradigm today, but I want to thank you so much, Mr. Peter Ame, for being with us on the program, and good luck with all the work you have ahead of you.
Thank you for having me. Happy Nigeria.
Happy Nigeria. That's a new one. We have been speaking with Chief Peter Ame, the National Secretary of the Coalition of United Political Parties, CUPP. And that's where we'll wrap it up on Political Paradigm this week. Please join the conversation on channelstv.com. Leave your comments there, respectfully, of course, and join us as we keep asking the accountability question until it is answered. I'm Kayla Magwa. See you next time.